down the drain in the name of Parliament because neither opposition nor government wants the House to run. What will it take to make both houses work? That's going to be the debate tonight. But first, the story.
For the second straight day, Parliament descended into chaos. There were repeated adjournments as BJP and Congress MPs locked horns over Rahul Gandhi's recent remarks against the Modi government in London last week. The BJP said Parliament can't sit and watch as a member goes abroad and talks against Indian democracy.
अपने पार्लियामेंट के बारे में ऐसे उल्टे सीधे बयान करे, इस बात की निंदा भी करनी पड़ेगी और उन्होंने यहाँ पे आके माफी मांगनी पड़ेगी। मैं गर्व के साथ कह सकता हूँ।
Speaking to CNN News 18, Union Minister Anurag Thakur accused Rahul Gandhi of defaming India.
He has left no stone unturned to tarnish the image of the Parliament and the country. He should come back and apologize to the Parliament and to the parliamentarians.
That Rahul Gandhi has called for.
Congress trashed BJP's allegations and called it diversionary tactics.
I don't believe that Rahul Gandhi has said anything that requires an apology. It is much, much milder than what Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi has said. This kind of discourse abroad was initiated by Prime Minister Modi.
सरकार खुद नहीं चलाना चाहते हैं हाउस। कल ऐसा नजारा कभी देखा है कि सरकार के मंत्रीगण, सरकार के सारे एमपी गण सब मतलब सदन को ठप करने के लिए किस तरीके से हंगामा किए हैं। क्यों माफी मांगेंगे? राहुल जी क्या किया गुना की माफी मांगना है? माफी तीन लोगों को मांगना चाहिए।
Rahul Gandhi is being targeted for claiming that India's institutions are under attack and a large chunk of democracy has come undone in India. As the war of words intensifies, who's trying to hijack Parliament?
Meanwhile, Rahul Gandhi's close aide and former advisor to former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, Sam Pitroda, put out a series of tweets in defense of Rahul Gandhi. Mr. Pitroda urged people to stop promoting and propagating lies about what Rahul Gandhi said and intentionally misunderstanding what he said. Pitroda also claimed that Rahul Gandhi never really invited any foreign country to help or intervene in India's internal affairs. He said that Rahul Gandhi had only flagged off the state of democracy in India, which is a matter of concern, but that it is an Indian problem, so we will have to deal with it. Now, here are the series of statements that Rahul Gandhi made in London last week.
Indian democracy is under pressure, is under attack. The institutional framework, which is required for a democracy, Parliament, a free press, the judiciary, just the idea of mobilization, just the idea of moving around, these are all getting constrained.
Indian democracy is a public good. So the surprising thing is that the so-called defenders of democracy, which are the United States, European countries, seem to just be oblivious.
I have never defamed my country. I'm not interested in it. I will never do it. The fact of the matter is the person who defames India when he goes abroad is the Prime Minister of India.
Now, the BJP is also citing a 2021 interview that Rahul Gandhi had given to former US diplomat Nicholas Burns, where he reportedly questioned the silence of the US establishment for what is happening in India. Now, in this particular interview, Rahul Gandhi claimed that there had been a wholesale capture of institutions in India. He went on to say that he hasn't heard anything from the US establishment on what is going on in India. He also pointed out, saying that the US and India is a partnership of democracies. So what is America's view on what is going on in India? He also said that freedom has been encapsulated in the American Constitution, which makes the country a profound idea. He went on to say that America has to defend that idea of freedom. So let me open this up to our panelists. It's not just about what Rahul Gandhi said and whether or not he should apologize, but also about what it will take to run Parliament. Professor Rakesh Sinha, BJP MP, is now joining us. Dr. Shama Mohammed, Congress spokesperson. Abhijit Majumdar is consulting editor with First Post, and Javed Ansari, senior journalist. Professor Rakesh Sinha, let me start with you first. In both houses of Parliament for the last 2 days, ruling party MPs have been protesting and asking for Rahul Gandhi to apologize. Should that be at the cost of running Parliament?
You know, this is not a normal situation. When a leader of a party which has ruled this country more than 5 decades and has a history of more than 100 years and has a worldwide signboard, is known worldwide. He goes to the foreign soil, says something which is not against individual, which is not against the particular organization. It gives the bad image and it contests the very idea of India. Then it is very abnormal situation in the country, that too a leader of opposition party. That's why we are demanding apology. The apology is not from the individual only. Apology is from the organization, plus it's ideologues. Let the people of the world know that this was a mistake on his part. It is not only immaturity. Rahul Gandhi, whatever Rahul Gandhi does, he is doing deliberately against the country, against the nation. I consider when you are undermining the India democracy, he was speaking at a time when in Nagaland 13 lakh voters, in Meghalaya 21 lakh voters, in Tripura or 28 lakhs voters were participating in the free and fair election and electing their government. The erosion of the Congress is not the erosion of democracy. And that's why I consider that Rahul's statement is a war against the Indian people.
So let me ask Dr. Shama Mohammed, let me ask Dr. Shama Mohammed that if Rahul Gandhi says democracy is being stifled in India, the institutional framework is being killed in India, at the same time that he made those comments, Dr. Shama Mohammed, tens of thousands of people, lakhs of people turned up in states like Tripura, Meghalaya, Nagaland, to vote and elect a new government, and so they did. So how are you saying that democracy is under attack?
No, Rahul Gandhi clearly said there that this is our problem and we can only solve this problem. And basically what he meant is subversion of democracy. Now I'm going to play something to you. Listen to this. Can you hear this?
No, we can't hear it.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm trying to say is that after 2014, 2016, 2017, what did Narendra Modi say? छोड़ो यार, पाप किया है यहाँ जन्म होने से पहले, 2014 से पहले. What is the sin you have committed to be born in India before 2014? This is to audience in South Korea, in China. He says, people were so ashamed to be born in India that they were leaving the country. So Narendra Modi goes out and insults not just Indians living then, but also our forefathers. When you're ashamed, it's a sin. It is insulting Vallabhbhai Patel. It is insulting Pandit Nehru. It is insulting Mahatma Gandhi. It is insulting Mukherjee. It is insulting Advani, Vajpayee, everybody. So the rule is Narendra Modi can say whatever he wants, but others cannot say. Number one, just give me some time. Number two, in 2017, let me finish, please, Zaka. In 2017, he accused three important people. Manmohan Singh, our former Prime Minister. Hamid Ansari, former Vice President. And General Kapoor, former Army General, of colluding with Pakistan to overthrow the government in Gujarat. Now, he is accusing them of treason. Did he apologize to them ever, whether in Parliament or outside Parliament? I want an apology, because these were just not anybody. The former Prime Minister, the former
Shama,
Army
there
General.
are
That means
two issues here.
Once
again, as I understand, there are two issues here. One second. Let it not be a monologue. Let it not be a monologue. There are two separate issues here. One is the BJP is taking exception to the fact that Rahul Gandhi, they claim, on foreign soil insulted the country. That's one part of it. The second part of it is what he said and the merits or demerits of what he said. So let me ask Abhijit Majumdar this. Is there merit in what Rahul Gandhi said, that democracy in India... No, one second. You can't take forever to finish your points, right? I need to go to other guests as well. The idea that democracy is finished in India, is that a contestable idea? Because as I understand, in the 28, 30 states that we have in our country, I think about 15, 16 the BJP is ruling. The remaining 13, 14, there are opposition parties that are ruling. There have been multiple assembly elections in the last 8 years since Mr. Modi came to power. Admittedly, yes, the BJP is winning a majority of them. But there have been states where regional parties, and Congress has also won. Congress won an election just back in in December, when they won Himachal Pradesh. So to say that democracy is failing or failed in India, that would be a stretch.
Yeah, so, just 2 months back, democracy was alive and kicking in Himachal. Suddenly, it's, every time the Congress
a little more unelectable, democracy dies a little more. This doesn't hold water. It really. But having said that, Zaka, opposition leader of a country is fine in when he or she visits abroad to point out things that are probably not working fine in the country, etc., etc. But this sweeping comments like democracy is dead and dying, these are alarmist. But the bigger problem is that Rahul Gandhi, Shama may disagree, but if he clearly is exhorting the Western powers, UK, US, that do something about it. What would you do? These are his words. What would you do if democracy is the size of Europe? Suddenly, democracy vanishes from Europe.
No, but the Congress is saying that he never said any such thing. The Congress is saying that it was not some plea for intervention. It was just that the so-called defenders of free speech, US, Europe, etc., they're not saying anything about what's happening in India.
No, and also this is not the first time that, Rahul Gandhi, I personally think that it was a very clear call for action for others in the world to do something about this thing, because we can't win elections. Most of the elections we are losing. So please come and do something about it. I have to be in power. That kind of a, to me, that is clear.
Okay, so let me ask Javed Ansari.
Shankar Iyer went to Pakistan and actually asked Pakistan, "Aap kuch kijiye." He is pleading with Pakistan to remove Modi.
So let me ask Javed Ansari that the government's argument is, you look at what has been happening, over the last few months, whether it was this Hindenburg report. Now, for whatever it's worth, the government is calling it a hit job. Then you had Mr. Soros and his comments, and then you had Rahul Gandhi, they claim, impleading to the Americans and to the Europeans to do something about it, to say something about what's going on in India. Now, my question is, seen in this context, seen as a sequence of events, does the government have a point in that they fear that Rahul Gandhi was asking for some kind of foreign intervention? And more importantly, the point that Abhijit made, the Congress not winning elections or losing elections with every passing year cannot become a substitute for asking some kind of foreign intervention.
Well, I certainly, much as I respect Abhijit, he's a dear friend, I certainly do not agree with his interpretation of what Rahul Gandhi was saying. Just as I am entitled to a view, he's entitled to his view. I believe that the BJP and its cheerleaders are stretching it a bit. And if by that, and if that is to be a principle is to be applied, then what the Prime Minister said, and that too of all places in China, that log sharminda the Hindustani hone pe, and they were leading the country. What do you make of that? As far as democracy not existing in India, well, that's not a statement. That's not a correct statement. Democracy is certainly, there is certainly democracy, but it's certainly under stress. When a comedian is jailed for a joke he didn't crack, when a journalist is jailed and has to spend over a year in jail for a story that he didn't write, when verdicts are manufactured and turned on their head, then democracy is certainly under stress.
No, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating, Javed Ansari, and that
yes,
ultimately
elections are being held.
Yeah, so for whatever it's worth, elections are the ultimate marker in an electoral democracy, and the fact is that in elections, the Congress party is just not able to win elections.
Yes, I agree with you that elections are an important marker, but not the only marker. Okay. And attempts are being made in states where verdict goes against the ruling party in power at the center to change that kind of verdict by means that were not entirely democratic. And why is it that only leaders belonging to opposition parties bear the brunt of official probes? Why is it? Is there an answer?
So that's a fair question to ask Professor Rakesh Sinha. You look at this is a constant charge from the opposition. You look at all the leaders who've been raided or cases, whether it is ED, IT, CBI, all of them are going after opposition leaders. We had recently the case of Manish Sisodia. K. Kavita of the BRS has been called in for questioning. Somehow, there is no BJP leader who's ever raided or questioned by these agencies. Is always against the opposition. Surely that can't be democratic.
You know, it is not a privilege to be opposition and to be corrupt. Because you are a opposition party and you are indulged in corruption, you have made a hefty money and you have misused the legitimate opportunity for the illegitimate activities. Because you belong to opposition party, so CBI and ED should not act. This privilege opposition parties want. And balancing act cannot be the rule in the field of corruption. Suppose two MPs are arrested for a particular party, so other parties, one MP should be arrested without any reason. You bring any charge against substantive charge against any individual, and you go to the CBI, complain that, and there will be a raid. That person would be arrested.
No, but Professor Sinha,
Tell
again,
me
opposition.
One single case.
Opposition is asking, you know, when Hemanta Biswa Sarma was in the opposition, there were cases against him. When Suvendu Adhikari was in the opposition, there were cases against him. Somehow, when they joined the BJP, it's like going through a washing machine. All the dirty laundry has been washed.
No, there were no there had not been any substantive charge. They were the kind of allegation and counter allegations.
Okay.
Here, a question of substantive charge. In Bengal, you found that crores of rupees were lying in the room. In Jharkhand, you find, and in Delhi, the ghotala, everybody knows. What I am telling about Rahul Gandhi, that is very important. Rahul Gandhi in May 2002, this is not an exceptional case. In May 2022, he met the Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn. He is a Labour Party MP who believes in secession of Kashmir. He is opposed to Kashmir's accession in India. He is opposed to the Kashmir. He does not consider Kashmir as an integral part of the country. He once told a foreign ambassador that Hindutva is more dangerous than the Lashkar-e-Toiba. The man who is doing such thing, and he went China has a.
Okay, let me ask Dr. Shama Mohammed. No, once again, Dr. Shama Mohammed, I'll give you time. All I'm asking is, you are ostensibly again protesting in Parliament. Once again, can you hear my question, please? Please hear my question, and I'd appreciate an answer to my question. You are ostensibly protesting against the government not constituting a JPC on the Adani matter. But the matter has been inquired into by no less than the Supreme Court of India. If the Supreme Court of India is looking into it, and it's given, I think, 8 weeks' time to a committee to look into what exactly happened, do you not have faith in the highest court of the land? Should Parliament still be held hostage that JPC can do a better job than Supreme Court?
No, it's a committee. There is a difference here. Now, first, before I come into that, I wanted to ask Mr. Majumdar a question. He was going on talking about Rahul Gandhi, and let me reassert, Rahul Gandhi did not say that. He said this is an internal matter and we need to solve it. Now, Mr. Majumdar, are you ashamed to be born before 2014? You must tell the audience today. Because Mr. Modi has said that those who all born before 2014 were ashamed to be Indians. And many people also, he said, many people left India. Do you know, according to the government, more than 9 lakh people have left the Indian citizenship since 2014. And the highest was in 2021, 2 lakhs. So people are giving up Indian citizenship. Why? So when Mr. Modi can say whatever he wants once more, and the other thing, if you notice the pattern, when Rahul Gandhi questioned them on demonetization, he had to apologize. When he questioned them on the Rafale deal, he had to apologize. Now, because he is the only one who started on the Adani issue long before the Hindenburg report came in, he has to apologize. So this is definitely a divert and distraction tactic for sure, because there is no other reason that they want this done. Why? Zaka, simple question to Mr. Sinha said, you know, we go after everybody. Recently, your MLA was caught with crores in Bangalore, and you have given him bail. He's out on bail right now. There are many others. The ED has put behind many opposition leaders are behind bars. ED will question first. The CBI will take them into custody. Then the ED will come in and they will arrest.
Okay.
And then the judicial custody goes
Abhijit,
on. So my question,
okay, so you've asked Abhijit the question. Let him respond.
Yeah, I want Mr. Abhijit to respond about and why hasn't the Prime Minister apologized?
He is responding to you. If you will show him the courtesy to listen.
Right at the beginning, I said that it's fine for a opposition leader to go abroad and discuss. There is certain sort of drawbacks of governance in the country and all that, but not okay to call for action from other powers. That in my opinion, and I disagree
No,
with
he has
Shama
not called for any action. I'm sorry. You can't keep repeating.
One second, please, Shama, he
I
heard
didn't
you.
interrupt.
He heard you.
I
Please,
didn't- I didn't
please extend him the
interrupt.
courtesy. Fair enough. You
cannot make up
you are
also-
saying that he didn't
Not
say
told by
that.
Rahul
He's saying that he said that. Let's leave it to the viewers to decide. Okay.
The other thing is, it's not true that BJP leaders have not been raided by the central agencies. There is PVS Sharma from, I think, Rajasthan. There is Sengar's case is there. Gali Janardhan Reddy, Dushyant Singh. There's a fair, at least 6 I can see here. So it is not entirely true that only the opposition leaders have been raided. But the larger point, Zaka, is that through his actions, to the kind of, and I agree with Rakesh ji that you go and meet and do photo ops with Corbyn, who does not even without even a word on Kashmir. At least if you're fine, you're the leader of opposition, you're meeting people like Corbyn, you may even meet Ilhan Omar, but without a rider that, hello, I don't agree with your stance on Kashmir, I condemn it. ऐसा बिल्कुल नहीं हुआ.
Okay.
This did not happen. What Congress is essentially and effectively doing by association and by
Make up
action
things.
and by comments.
See, Zaka, you're not giving me time.
one second.
You're giving others time.
It's further ceding the nationalistic space to BJP.
Okay, Javed, I'll give Javed the final word. It's not. I mean, again, what the government is saying, what the
Zaka, you
BJP
didn't
is
give me
saying,
time at all.
ma'am, I've given you more than enough time. Let Javed get the final word. That what they're saying is Rahul Gandhi has done this in the past as well. The Corbyn incident is one that both Rakesh Sinha and Abhijit Majumdar referred to. He spoke in London in 2018 saying that people are being discriminated against, the marginalized are being betrayed. Again in London in 2018, he said, for the first time, an organization is challenging the very concept of India. This time, he compared the RSS to the Muslim Brotherhood. Modi government, he's called it exclusionary, using anger and violence to win elections. The RSS is fiddling with the foundational structure of India. The problem is, he's saying all of this in distant lands, in faraway lands, and in this case, on the land of a former colonial power, giving the impression that forget about asking for intervention or asking for some kind of, the US or Europe should talk about what's going on in India. But it's almost like he's leaning on their crutches. And that's a problem. Now, it's all very well, for Mr. Gandhi to say what he said, and then Congress leaders like Sharma, of course, clarify saying he's never asked for intervention. But the damage has already been done.
Look, Zaka, the Congress has today put out a video of Mr. Rahul Gandhi's speech where he referred to EU and the US. So it's there for all to see. I mean, if you ask me as a matter of principle, there was a lot of wisdom in the convention that leaders earlier used to follow of not discussing domestic affairs while outside the country. There was a lot of wisdom in it, and our leaders, those in government and outside, would be well advised to follow that, because washing dirty linen in public doesn't do anybody good. But to impute motives, I mean, if it's not good for Rahul Gandhi, then it can't be good for Narendra Modi as well. That too, and this business of EU and US is a matter of interpretation. I certainly don't agree with my two learned friends here.
Okay.
People should.
All right, we'll leave it at that. I've got to wrap up because we've got 3 segments on tonight's show. So I want to thank Shama Mohammed, Professor Sinha, Abhijit Majumdar, and of course Javed Ansari for joining us. We'll see how this story plays out. But one thing, and I think this is the most immediate fallout, expect pretty much a washed out remainder of the budget session of Parliament, because it's highly unlikely, politically speaking, that Rahul Gandhi is going to give anything close to an apology. And without that, it's highly unlikely that the government or the Treasury benches is going to allow Parliament to function for the remainder of the session. Meanwhile, the other big story is happening across the border in Pakistan, where in Lahore, the city came to a standstill literally as hundreds of thousands of Imran Khan's supporters squared off with the police outside his residence in Zaman Park. Islamabad police in riot gear and armored vehicles landed up with a court order, which was essentially an order to arrest Imran Khan. This was in connection with the Toshakhana case, in which Khan was accused of unlawfully selling gifts from foreign dignitaries. The arrest warrant was issued after Imran Khan failed to appear in court despite repeated summons. But the cops were met with hundreds of supporters of Imran Khan's party, the Tehreek-e-Insaf. The party had circulated messages to its cadre to turn up in large numbers at Zaman Park. The result was violent street battles in which Khan supporters pelted stones and bricks and used slingshots at the police. The police hit back at the protesters. They fired water cannons on them and in some cases even baton charging the angry protesters. Several of them were dragged away by the police amid these clashes. Pakistan has been plunged into political unrest ever since Imran Khan was ousted from power in April last year after losing a no-confidence vote. He was replaced by Shahbaz Sharif as the Prime Minister. And earlier this evening, Imran Khan released a video message asking people to fight for their rights even if he is jailed or killed.
मेरे पाकिस्तानियों, पुलिस मुझे जेल में पकड़ने के लिए आ गई और उनका ये ख्याल है कि जब इमरान खान जेल में चला जाएगा तो कौम सो जाएगी। आपने इनको गलत साबित करना है। आपने ये साबित करना है कि ये जिंदा कौम है। ये मोहम्मद मुस्तफ़ा नबी सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की उम्मत है। ये ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह के नारे के ऊपर बनने वाली कौम है। आपने अपने हकूक़ के लिए, हकीकी आज़ादी के लिए आपने जदोजहद करनी और निकलना बाहर। देखिए, इमरान खान को अल्लाह ने सब कुछ दे चुका है। मैं आपकी ये जंग लड़ रहा हूँ। मैं तो अपनी सारी ज़िंदगी जंग लड़ी और लड़ता रहूँगा, लेकिन अगर मुझे कुछ होता है या जेल में जाता हूँ या मार देते हैं तो आपने ये साबित करना है कि इमरान खान के बग़ैर भी ये कौम जदोजहद करेगी और ये बदतरीन ग़ुलामी इन चोरों की और ये जो एक आदमी फैसले कर रहा है इस मुल्क के, ये कभी आप कबूल नहीं करेंगे।
So what exactly is this Toshakhana corruption case that's put Imran Khan in the dock? It came to the fore in August of 2022 when the PMLN government filed a case against Imran Khan. They accused him of not disclosing information on the gifts that were presented to the state depository, which is called the Toshakhana. The Toshakhana stores gifts as well as expensive items that are received by public officials, including the Prime Minister. As per the rules, it is compulsory for all public officials to report these gifts and other such materials that they've received. But when Imran Khan became Prime Minister in 2018, he resisted disclosing the details of many of these presents. His argument was that the disclosure would severely impact relations with other countries. Later, Imran Khan wrote to the Election Commission of Pakistan admitting to selling at least 4 such presents. He also said that he bought them from the government by paying a percentage of their value. Now, what were these gifts? These included multiple Rolex watches, which were worth more than 5 million Pakistani rupees, a Graf watch, which was gifted to him reportedly by the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. It was valued at 85 million rupees. A pair of expensive cufflinks valued at more than 5.5 million Pakistani rupees. A pen which is worth 1.5 million Pakistani rupees, and even a ring which is valued at nearly 9 million Pakistani rupees. Now, almost 2 months after the case, which was filed against Imran Khan, the Election Commission of Pakistan said that these sales per se were not illegal because the items belonged to Imran Khan and that he had paid for them, but they did accuse him of engaging in unethical behavior, making false assertions and erroneous declarations. The poll body barred Imran Khan from holding public office for a period of 5 years. This triggered huge protests by PTI workers in front of Election Commission offices across the country. Multiple instances of vandalism were reported during these demonstrations, and the protesters clashed with the police like they did today. Imran Khan is currently involved in more than 30 cases. Here are some of the big ones. The big one, of course, is the Toshakhana corruption case, where today the court issued an arrest warrant for Imran Khan and instructed the police to present him on or before the 18th of March. There is another case in which he has been accused of threatening a judge at a public gathering. That non-bailable warrant, which was issued against Imran Khan, has been suspended till the 16th of March. Last year, the Election Commission of Pakistan initiated contempt proceedings against him, as well as other PTI leaders, for using objectionable language against the Chief Election Commissioner. But the Lahore High Court has suspended those bailable warrants. Imran Khan is also accused of receiving prohibited funding, but he's managed to get interim bail in that case. And there is also an attempt to murder case filed against him by a member of the PMLN. Last month, he got bail in that case. So, Professor Brahma Chalani, Strategic Affairs expert, joining us. Raja Faisal is a senior Pakistani journalist from Islamabad. Professor Chalani, of course, Imran Khan is doing a lot of histrionics around these two cases. The cases per se may not be strong against him, but the attempt to try and whip up sentiment, is that to keep himself politically relevant? Is that because he knows that this current government is unpopular. It's having to, take unpopular decisions because of the IMF constraints and because of the financial constraints that the country is going through. Therefore, he's raising the temperatures, knowing full well that that's the only way he can keep himself politically relevant.
You're right. That is, behind the drama is a bigger power play. The power play is about the military. The army has always been the main power force in Pakistan. It helped Imran Khan rise to power. He became prime minister in August 2018 with the help of the army. And when he fell out with the army, he was deposed in a no confidence motion in 2022. And the same thing happened with Nawaz Sharif. Nawaz Sharif, the older brother of the current prime minister, and the current prime minister, Shehbaz Sharif, is in power with the support of the military. Nawaz Sharif fell out with the military over national security policy, and the military then began to undermine him and eventually helped oust him. And as often happens in Pakistan, when the prime minister is ousted with the help of the military, then corruption charges follow against that person. It happened with Nawaz Sharif, it's happening with Imran Khan. So this drama has been played out in Pakistan repeatedly. The fact is that the present government of Shehbaz Sharif is unpopular.
Mm-hmm.
It's unpopular for a number of reasons, because the military has created the mess in which Pakistan finds itself, and Shehbaz Sharif is only the civilian face of de facto military rule. But unlike his brother Nawaz, Shehbaz has maintained cordial relations with the military, which explains his rise as prime minister. But Shehbaz knows that he has little control over the military's use of terrorism as an instrument of state policy, or the military's use of a pliable judiciary against, let's say, Imran Khan. So what we are seeing in Pakistan is the mess in that country being worsened by this power play in which the army is a central player.
So, Raja Faisal, you're already going through massive economic turmoil. You don't need me to outline, the kind of stuff that Pakistan and the government there is being forced to take because of the economic situation. But do you see any kind of resolution to this political situation? As Professor Brahmacharani explained, the fundamental reason why this political face-off started was because Imran Khan and the army fell out. Do you see any sort of rapprochement between Imran Khan and the army? Or, just because the actors change, the players change, it doesn't mean that the relationship changes?
I think situation is not that simple. Right now, if we look at obviously Pakistan's politics, Pakistan's army, Pakistan's institutions, the powerful institutions, they have distanced themselves from the politics, because they have seen that for the past, of course, their involvement, the previous chief's involvement in the politics, it has brought a very bad name to the army. And the new chief, of course, he is distancing himself from the politics. But if we look at the current political situation, I don't see something improving in very near future. But here, important is that we are expecting provincial elections in coming days, and in these provincial elections, as my other colleague, he has said here that Imran Khan's position is very strong position. Mm-hmm. Earlier, I was talking to one of my friends, and while talking to him, he's a politician as well. I said to him, situation is as such that Imran Khan is facing a cricket match of his life, in which his opponents want him to run for 5 miles before the match starts. And this is a match which is taking place in the winters, and his opponents do not want him to wear any guards, do not want him to carry a bat to play with, do not want him to have any pads on, and they do not want him to have the neutral umpires as well. So this is the situation right now, in which his opponents want him to come to election with. And of course, his opponents, they are demanding that we require the level playing field. I don't know what kind of level playing field they require. And in
No, but
that,
Raja
of
Faisal,
course,
it comes back to a simple question. Like Professor Shalani said, this government is clearly unpopular, not least because they've had to take these unpopular decisions. The only political alternative, as and when those elections happen, it'll happen this year or maybe it might get postponed, I don't know. But the only alternative when elections happen for an angry electorate, for an angry country, is Imran Khan. And he realizes that by daring the government to arrest him, he can actually, raise the stakes and become a political rallying point. In fact, for the government, damned if they do and damned if they don't.
You're very right about it. And if we look at his political opponents, we know that his political opponents are all of the opposition parties. It's one against all of the odds. So PDM, Pakistan Democratic Movement, which calls itself, it is in the office right now, led by, of course, PMLN and PPP. There are 13 parties, all of them, they are against Imran Khan. And on the other side, of course, Imran single-handedly has the support of the people. By the way, a couple of days ago, I was at Zaman Park and I met with few of the leaders out there. And of course, being a journalist, it's my job to meet people out there. And the numbers I watched there, it was a huge number. Of course, people has gathered out there for their leader Imran Khan, and that is why we are seeing right now, on every important road of Pakistan, there are protests going on because people do not want for the time when he's captured by police.
Okay, so let me ask Professor Chalani then that how does this story now play out? You clearly, as Raja Faisal was saying, that the fundamental friction happened when Imran Khan and the former army chief, they clearly couldn't get along on a choice of appointments or whatever, but they fell out. There is nothing to show that those bridges have been restored. And yet at the same time, even the army knows how unpopular the current government is. So it's almost like something's got to give. What may that be?
Well, right now, given the fact that Imran Khan is the most powerful political force in Pakistan, the effort is to curtail his influence. Maybe sending him to jail and keeping him there for a while could be one way of eroding his popularity. But it's quite possible that actually jailing him might actually make him more popular.
Correct.
But the fact is that Pakistan's economic situation, far from getting better, may actually get worse in the coming months, given the fact that Pakistan is being forced to accept IMF conditionalities, and those conditionalities will increase economic woes in Pakistan. So the coming months are going to be critical for Pakistan economically, and because of the economic turmoil and the hyperinflation and other economic problems that Pakistan faces, including a very serious debt crisis, the political situation is unlikely to be stable. So in the coming months, we're going to see greater turmoil in Pakistan, economic and political. And Imran, of course, would seek to use this turmoil to his advantage. And the effort now is to clip his wings in ways that are possible. And I think these corruption cases that he's facing is an attempt to paint him as someone who really is out and out corrupt and to undermine his image. So this is a power game that is being played by the powerful elites in Pakistan, and the powerful elites in Pakistan are largely those that are either military elites or civilian elites that have the backing of the military.
Okay. Raja Faisal, I'll give you the final word. Again, I keep coming, unless there is some kind of rapprochement between the current military establishment and Mr. Khan, and if there's any evidence to that, please point us in that direction. But unless there is some kind of rapprochement, I don't see the situation resolving itself, because like Professor Chalani said, if they are hoping to, jail him and thereby keep him quiet for a few weeks or a few months, it could actually end up having the opposite effect.
Yes, you're very right. And of course, Professor Chelani, he has pointed out a very good fact. And he has highlighted one point which I would endorse further. That is related to the Tosha Khana case. If we look at, Tosha Khana case, I mean, there are four things which are being said that Imran Khan bought them from Tosha Khan, which legally he could, and then later on he sold them. It is known about Imran Khan that in his life he has said that my house in Banigala, after I die, it should be sold and given it to Shaukat Khana Memorial Hospital. So what he did was he sold them and he sent it towards his charities, he sent it towards certain things. So here it's not that he sold and put it in the pocket.
Okay.
And by law, of course, he's not disallowed to do it. He's allowed to do it because after paying the amounts, that thing belongs to him, and it's up to him. Either he sells it or he
keeps it.
It's a sort of morality issue, which is
rather than a straight-up case of corruption.
If we look at what's the way
I'm out of time. I want to wrap up the debate, but thank you very much to both Professor Chelani as well as Raja Faisal. We'll see how this story plays out. One other critical thing for the Pakistan government in its calculation on whether to arrest or not to arrest Imran Khan is that you have the fasting season that's coming up later on this week. In fact, the month of Ramadan will begin. And once that happens, to arrest him in the middle of the holy month of Ramadan will have huge political ramifications in a way that it could make Imran Khan a much larger than life figure than he already is, and could potentially make him into a political martyr of some sort. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, an exclusive interview, in fact, the first reaction from the Union Law Minister kiren Rijiju on a whole host of issues, including, of course, the government's stand on same-sex marriage and why the centre is opposed to it. Also, his first reaction on the decision by the Supreme Court to appoint a committee to choose Chief Election Commissioner and election commissioners. All that and more in an exclusive interview coming right up on the other side.
Outlier, and he actually served the purpose of army for some time, quite a bit, but then the army probably realized that they are better off with the established political parties, however corrupt they might be. So eventually there was a change of guard that was created. Imran Khan's habit of presuming that he is the one who can change everything in Pakistan, that he is the supreme leader, that nobody can actually defeat him, that he is invincible, actually cost him dearly, and this is where he has been reduced to. I think, but Imran Khan is actually, sorry to say this, but he has this instinct of a cockroach to survive from the Jurassic age till today. So he has capitalized on the situation right now because of the political, economic situation which is imploding. Imran Khan might still again win the election, possibly because he would again bluff the people of Pakistan by giving another, halo of a Naya Pakistan that he would create. But reality is that he doesn't have any plan. In fact, nobody has any plan about Pakistan. So he might ride this wave of popularity that he has, partly because of his personality and also because of the discontent that people have against the establishment and also against the deep state as well, against whom they have started talking right now. But
there are reports that high drama is happening in Lahore as Imran Khan faces an imminent arrest. The Islamabad police is at Zaman Park to serve the summon notice to Mr. Imran Khan. That's the word coming in. It's the big piece of breaking news coming in from the neighbouring country of Pakistan. High drama in Lahore as Imran Khan faces imminent arrest. There were summons and warrants that were earlier issued, and now Islamabad police is at Zaman Park to serve summon notice to Imran Khan. That's the word coming in. Imran Khan has been embroiled in a lot of series of confrontations with the Pakistani civilian government, also Pakistani army. There are various sanctions that he's facing from within, various marches that he conducted, you remember. And there was also a sort of attack that had happened on him very recently when he was carrying out a march in various parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And right now there is a high voltage drama that has erupted in Lahore. Imran Khan, who was earlier at the helm of affairs leading the country, right now faces a very strong opposition from the civilian government, and also he's not been in good terms with the military establishment. Abhishek with us on the broadcast. Abhishek, tell us more about what's happening.
Heating up. Senior police officials are reaching at the venue, Zaman Park, where thousands of PTI supporters are here out sort of Imran Khan's house, and they are not letting the execution of arrest order of Imran Khan happen. In fact, there is a chaos, and it looks like the situation can go beyond the control of police officials, and this is why police have now issued a notification which says that any person who will obstruct legal process will be slapped with sedition charges. So there have been multiple attempts in the past week only where Imran Khan was to be arrested, but either legal relief were given to Imran Khan or police officials did not attempt to Imran Khan because of the current situation on the ground. But now it looks like the legal options are ending and running out of Imran Khan's, reason. And now police officials are there. Islamabad police senior officials, CIG officials are there. And Imran Khan might be arrested today itself. And if it happens, then major political turmoil will start happening in Pakistan, because Imran Khan has huge following across Pakistan, especially after an assassination attempt was made against on him. There has been a lot of sympathy wave going in favor of Imran Khan. So how does current government will be dealing with that? That will be a major challenge in case Imran Khan is arrested by today evening.
I want to cut across to Pathikrit as well, who's joining us on the broadcast. He's a geopolitical analyst. He'll give us more perspective. Pathikrit, what's the fate of Imran Khan? We have seen what has happened in the last few months, the assassination attempt that was made on him, the kind of series of confrontation that he has been, whether it's the military establishment or the civilian government. What's in fate for him if we look at the recent political history of Pakistan?
Well, it's a game of cat and mouse going on. A couple of times in the past, also recent past, there were summons and
हमारे साथ कानून और न्याय मंत्री किren Rijiju हैं. So a lot of issues have been cropping up. We in the news business, it is our job to sort of highlight some of these issues. Let's start with the latest, in which just yesterday we had a Supreme Court hearing. This is on the issue of same-sex marriage. आप हमारे दर्शकों को समझाइए कि while the government is open to same-sex relationships, and you had mentioned that in the historic Supreme Court verdict which read down Section 377, but yesterday you had submitted an affidavit saying that you are opposed to same-sex marriage. Why is a government that is okay with same-sex relationships opposed to same-sex marriage? Why is it a matter of policy?
Thank you very much for inviting me here. This Lokmat National Conclave is a very important place, and the views which you make here will certainly go deep amongst the people. First of all, on this issue which you just raised, we are, as a government, we are not opposed to any kind of activities done by anybody as a citizen. As a citizen, as long as you follow the law of the land, you are free to do whatever you choose to do. A person of any sex can also choose to lead a particular life which is suitable to him or her. But when you talk about marriage, marriage is an institution. Marital institutions are guided by different specific laws. And I'm not going into the details of the laws, but they are guided by different provisions in different laws. When it comes to institution, it has to be regulated by certain laws. The law must be enacted by the Parliament of India, because Parliament of India reflects the will of the people. Court can definitely interpret into many things. Court can also go into certain issues which requires some clarity in terms of correct interpretation. We have no issue on that. The only issue with the government is marriage is an institution, it has a sanctity, and it must be backed by law which takes into account our traditions, our ethos, our heritage. There are so many things in our country. India is not a country which emerged suddenly. It is an ancient country with rich cultural tradition and all customary practices. So that is why our position is very clear on that.
So one of the other interpretations that has happened recently is on the appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioners. The court seems to be of the view that in order to maintain neutrality and impartiality, they want to ensure that there is a committee comprising Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, and the Chief Justice. The government reckons this is an infringement because it's an appointment, it's an executive appointment. How do you see this constitutionality of appointment versus the political nature of appointments?
First of all, you have to identify what are the issues which are administrative in nature, which are issues which are totally at the domain of judiciary. The Constitution says very clearly that for the appointment of election commissioners, it has to be done through a system, law, which has to be enacted by the Parliament. I agree that there is no enactment of any act on that. But that is at the domain of the legislature. The matter which came up in Supreme Court is not because of some conflict or some kind of confusion. And there is no, urgent requirement also. But somebody has gone and filed as PIL, and the Supreme Court took cognizance of that, and they delivered a judgment. When the Supreme Court or any court in India pronounce a judicial judgment, I should not comment on that. If I feel that there is encroachment into the domain of legislature or the executive, I will react in appropriate forum or initiate appropriate action. But on the basis of a judgment, I am not ready to offer a quick reaction to that.
No, not just in the context of this, but even in the context of appointment of judges. This has been going on for a while now between the government and the court. Do you plan to bring any legislation which clearly demarcates when it comes to appointment of, because if the court is saying, in order to maintain neutrality, you have to have the Chief Justice on the panel to choose the Chief Election Commissioner, the government can argue the same for appointment of judges also.
On the question of neutrality, the Constitution has given certain provisions. As a member of Parliament, I will be biased towards my party. The moment I take oath as a minister, I am supposed to be neutral, because everybody is equal for a minister. Whether you are a minister or election commissioner or your person in any of the constitutional authority, you are supposed to be or expected to be neutral. If every appointment is to be done by a committee which involves the Chief Justice of India or a judge, who will perform the judicial function? We all know that the total numbers of pendency in India is rising very fast. We are almost at 5 crore 90 lakhs pendency of cases. Now people are saying that so many cases are pending in the courts. Courts are unable to deliver judgment or unable to dispose of enough numbers of cases, which is not correct actually. Courts are disposing numbers of cases, but the new coming up cases are higher in numbers. That is why the pendency rates are increasing. But just because the pendency rates are increasing, can government or the legislature say that we will take over judiciary? Because judiciary is unable to deliver the judgment or to finish off the pendency of cases, they should give up, and the legislature and the executive should take over the judicial work. It cannot happen. There is a clear-cut demarcation of responsibilities amongst the three wings in the state. If you try to breach those thin lines, then it will precipitate a situation which will lead to crisis. It can be political crisis, constitutional crisis, or some kind of resentment. So we have to be very mindful. And I must tell you another thing, that our party, led by Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, we have utmost respect for judiciary. Independence of judiciary cannot be compromised. We have to strengthen judiciary, and we have been doing that. All this, the digitization which is going on in the Indian judiciary, all the technological supports being provided to the judiciary, during the peak of the pendency, Indian courts were still functioning. This is because under the e-courts phase 2, we have given adequate support to the Indian judiciary, and under the e-court phase 3, we have allocated 7,000 crore, which has been announced in the budget. So no government has come close to our government in terms of support provided to the judiciary. So we are very clear. Independence of judiciary also means independence of legislature and independence of executive. Independence is not for one organ. All the organs have the equal and reciprocal independence, and we must respect that.
Once an arrest is done, then we'll tell you more about the case per se. I want to cut across back to Pathikrit, who's with us on the broadcast. Pathikrit, we were talking about this change of events, the change of things that have happened for Imran Khan, and it's been quite drastic, a complete 360.
Yeah, what I understand is that, Imran Khan, being a cricket player, at one point of time, he thought the moment that he became the prime minister, like being the world champion, he thought that he is the numero. That's not the way Pakistan politics works. I think he forgot somewhere that his, elevation to the post of the prime minister was entirely because of the blessing of the army. He started taking on the army. He had a huge tiff with the deep state because of, Faiz Hamid being replaced with another person as a DG ISI, and that's where the tug of war started. He actually messed up on a lot of foreign policy issues as well. Over a period of time, I think army got completely frustrated with what he was doing, and eventually, I think there was also pressure from the United States, possibly. A combination of several factors together made it very clear that even though he was an outlier and he actually served the purpose of army for some time quite a bit, but then the army probably realized that they are better off with the established political parties, however corrupt they might be. So eventually there was a change of guard that was created. Imran Khan's habit of presuming that he is the one who can change everything in Pakistan, that he is the supreme leader, that nobody can actually defeat him, that he is invincible, actually cost him dearly, and this is where he has been reduced to. I think, but Imran Khan is actually, sorry to say this, but he has this instinct of a cockroach to survive from the Jurassic age till today. So he has capitalized on the situation right now because of the political, economic situation which is imploding. Imran Khan might still again win the election, possibly because he would again bluff the people of Pakistan by giving another, halo of a Naya Pakistan that he would create. But reality is that he doesn't have any plan. In fact, nobody has any plan about Pakistan. So he might ride this wave of popularity that he has, partly because of his personality and also because of the discontent that people have against the establishment and also against the deep state as well, against whom they have started talking right now. But
there are reports that high drama is happening in Lahore as Imran Khan faces an imminent arrest. The Islamabad police is at Zaman Park to serve the summon notice to Mr. Imran Khan. That's the word coming in. It's the big piece.
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. Pakistan is a war zone again. A major showdown is underway. Police have surrounded Imran Khan's home in Lahore. Violent clashes broke out today. Imran Khan supporters went after the police. Tear gas was fired. And as we speak, the drama continues. Imran Khan faces arrest. Law enforcement officers are closing in. Pakistan's Interior Ministry says he's awaiting orders from the court. Imran Khan has made an appeal to his supporters. He wants them to come out on the streets in large numbers. Remember, this is a country reeling under an economic crisis. A violent power struggle will unleash total chaos. We'll get you the latest from Pakistan on the show tonight. We are also tracking America's banking crisis. It is now hitting the rest of the world, including Indian startups. How big is the impact? We'll tell you about it. And if you complain about IT issues at your workplace, you're not alone. Nearly 50% of the employees lose up to 5 hours every week dealing with technology challenges. That and more coming up ahead. First, the headlines. Fierce war of words over the AUKUS nuclear submarine pact. Australia will buy up to 5 US nuclear-powered submarines to counter China in the Pacific. Beijing has slammed the move. It says the allies are on the path of danger. Russia says the pact will lead to years of confrontation in Asia. Fallout of the Tosha Khana gifts row. Pakistan bans its president, prime minister, judges and military officers from retaining gifts above $300. Gifts over that value received from foreign dignitaries will become state property. China will finally reopen its borders to tourists. All types of visas will be issued starting Wednesday. Beijing closed its borders 3 years ago due to the pandemic. It hopes this move will boost its flagging economy. Strike season continues in the UK. Thousands of doctors are on a 3-day strike over their pay. It's the latest stir to hit the state-funded National Health Service following walkouts by nurses and paramedics. The Lebanese pound sinks to a historic low against the dollar, trading at 100,000 against the greenback. The latest setback comes as banks in the crisis-hit country resume their strike. The drama in Pakistan just refuses to end. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan is facing arrest. It's just a question of when now. The Pakistani establishment wants to put him behind bars. There was high drama in Lahore today, scenes of utter chaos. The site of action was Zaman Park. This is where Imran Khan's residence is. A heavy contingent of police reached here this afternoon. They're trying hard to make their way into Imran Khan's residence to arrest him. But they've been struggling. The police contingent is moving forward with the help of an armoured vehicle to reach Imran Khan's residence. They're being blocked by members of Imran Khan's party, the PTI. The armoured vehicle tried dispersing them using water cannons. Then the police took to firing tear gas shells, but PTI supporters refused to budge. They've flooded the area in an attempt to save their leader. Zaman Park now looks like a war zone. Imran Khan supporters are putting up a tough fight. The police seem determined to get the former Prime Minister today, and they have the government's backing. Pakistan's Interior Minister Rana Sanaullah has issued a statement. He says Imran Khan will be arrested on the orders of the court. There are many cases pending against him. In one of them, there was a non-bailable arrest warrant. Last week, the Islamabad High Court suspended that warrant, meaning the former Prime Minister got a sigh of relief. But the relief was short-lived. On Monday, another court restored this arrest warrant, a non-bailable arrest warrant. And that has paved the way for Imran Khan's arrest. He filed an exemption plea on the same day, citing security threats. And on this pretext, he did not appear before the court. He said his life was in danger. But the court took offense. It ordered the police to arrest Imran Khan and present him before the court on the 18th of March. Islamabad police was happy to comply. It has been waiting for an opportunity to get him. The officer leading the arrest team is DIG Shehzad Bukhari. I have a quote from him too. He says, "We have come to comply with the warrant. We know the details of the case but cannot discuss." Imran Khan, meanwhile, has posted a video message on Twitter. This is what he said.
मेरे पाकिस्तानियों, पुलिस मुझे जेल में पकड़ने के लिए आ गई है बाहर। और उनका ये ख्याल है कि जब इमरान खान जेल में चला जाएगा तो कौम सो जाएगी। आपने इनको गलत साबित करना है। आपने ये साबित करना है कि ये जिंदा कौम है।
And now to why Imran Khan faces arrest. The former Prime Minister of Pakistan faces multiple charges. The police are looking to arrest him in the Tosha Khana case. Tosha Khana is the state depository. It keeps expensive gifts given to Pakistani officials by foreign dignitaries. During his stint as Prime Minister, Imran Khan got many such gifts. expensive items, including watches by top officials in the Gulf. They should have been deposited in the Tosha Khana, but Imran Khan is said to have taken them from the depository and then he's said to have sold them illegally at high profits. Reports say he made 36 million rupees from the sale of premium watches alone. And for the record, it is compulsory for Pakistani officials to deposit such expensive gifts to the Tosha Khana. So if the charges are true, Imran Khan broke the law and engaged in brazen corruption. But are the charges true? It doesn't matter. The odds are stacked against Imran Khan. The Pakistan government is led by his political opponents. He has lost favor with the army as well. Khan is openly challenging the generals in Pakistan. In fact, he called for a probe against former army chief General Bajwa. So basically, in the power circles of Pakistan, Imran Khan has no friends left. The hammer was just waiting to come down on him. But the cricketer turned politician remains defiant. He has dismissed all the cases against him. And by the way, this is not the first time the police have reached his doorstep to arrest him. Earlier this month, the Islamabad police came to Lahore with an arrest warrant, but Imran Khan was nowhere to be found. The police returned empty-handed. This is a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Imran Khan remains a very popular leader. But Pakistan's democracy is a farce. The generals control everything and they routinely punish prime ministers for behaving like prime ministers. Imran Khan is their latest victim. Once selected by the army to become prime minister, now hounded by the same army. America's banking crisis is snowballing. 2 US banks have collapsed and now the crisis is hitting the rest of the world. Yesterday, the US president tried to calm nerves. Joe Biden said the depositors will be made whole, meaning they'll get their money back, and that the US taxpayers will not foot the bill for this. But what about the others? What about people in other countries who are also suffering the consequences? Let me tell you how big the fallout is. The failure of American banks has led to a loss of over $400 billion the world over. $400 billion. This is the loss in financial stocks worldwide, and the bleeding is still on amid a crisis of confidence. So how is India faring? How much are Indian companies exposed to this crisis? Well, there are some, and India has not been unaffected by all of this. Tonight we'll discuss which companies have been hit and how much. But first, an update on what's happening in the US. The American banking system is still reeling. On Monday, customers were still lining up outside SVB, the Silicon Valley Bank, the first bank that failed in this crisis. Government officials tried to contain the panic. Remember, American regulators have now taken control of the bank. They are the ones in charge, and they're trying to revive the bank. Yesterday, some officials stepped out to meet customers. They bought donuts and coffee and offered words of reassurance.
You will be able to transact business as usual. Your accounts are safe. Your online portals are active. You'll be able to wire and do business as usual. So if you have any questions, feel free to let us know.
So what's happening at SVB right now? The bank is running, but it's not fully operational. They've got a new CEO. Reports say customers have got access to their deposits, but they cannot make cross-border transactions yet. It will take a few more days for the bank to resume all its services. And this is bad news for some startups in India. Like I said, Indian companies have also some kind of exposure to this bank. Some Indian startups had accounts in Silicon Valley, and now their money could be stuck. How many companies are we talking about? More than 60, according to one claim. And how much money is stuck here? We do not have the exact figure, but each of these companies has more than $250,000 in their accounts, and out of these, nearly 24 startups have more exposure, meaning at least 24 companies have more money in the bank. We're talking about more than $1 million each. This money is stuck. And which companies are these? We do not have the names. They've not been revealed yet because this disclosure will hurt them. Apparently, their investors are afraid. They're worried that if the names come out, it will hurt the companies in future fundraising. And who are these investors? The likes of Y Combinator, Accel, Sequoia India, Lightspeed, SoftBank, and Bessemer Venture Partners. These are all venture capital firms. Basically, they're big investors in startups, and this is a testing time for them. Imagine if one of these companies has to pay salaries in India with the money stuck in America. or if they have to settle vendor payments here or bills of any other kind. As of today, they cannot do it from Silicon Valley Bank. That's because the bank is yet to resume cross-border transactions. And this bank is central to their businesses. Like I told you yesterday, Silicon Valley was the top banker for America's tech industry. Also for many venture capitalists, many startups put their first checks in Silicon Valley. The past few days have been a nightmare for them. Here's an American entrepreneur sharing his horror story.
The last 72 hours has been sort of an extreme version of that. I mean, not knowing whether or not the company you've spent 5 years building was going to go away overnight as a result of something as, I think, sort of unpredictable as a collapse of a bank was really hard.
And here's the scariest part. Silicon Valley could be just the tip of the iceberg. America's banking industry at large remains vulnerable. That's because this collapse is linked to US treasuries or US government bonds. Again, we talked about this yesterday. Silicon Valley Bank had a lot of cash. It invested this money in government bonds. But last year, when the US Federal Reserve hiked interest rates, it issued new bonds. These new bonds offered higher interest rates, and that made the old bonds less valuable. Their value declined sharply. And that's a problem for a lot of American banks because many of them still hold the old government bonds. They paid a lot of money for these old bonds. But now if they sell them, they'll not be able to recover that money. In other words, they're sitting on a pile of losses. Do you know how much? Losses worth a whopping $620 billion. This is what American banks are staring at. Over $600 billion in losses. But I must say here, these are unrealized losses, meaning they exist only on paper as of today. The US banks still hold the old bonds. They don't have to sell them immediately. The banks can wait for the value of the bonds to go up. They can choose to sell them only when the value is up. That way they won't make losses. But if they decide to sell the bonds now, there will be suffering. And this is one of the big reasons why everyone is spooked. This is why investors are worried. They fear that the banks would take more losses. So they're dumping their investments. Shares are being dumped across the board. The result is this. Global financial stocks have plunged. Banking stocks from Japan to South Korea to Australia and of course America are seeing a sea of red. In 2 days, they have lost $465 billion in their market value. In 2 days. The next few days could be tough. The global banking system remains on the edge. Meanwhile, China is working on a new project. Xi Jinping wants to be the man of peace. And no, this is not a change of heart. He just wants to score political points. And this is not peace for his neighbors. Xi Jinping wants to mediate in the Russia-Ukraine war. He's making a push for talks. China has gone into a diplomatic overdrive. Their president wants to speak to the leaders of Ukraine and Russia. Xi Jinping plans to speak to Zelensky virtually, and then he'll meet Vladimir Putin in person. And this dialogue could happen as soon as next week. Reports say the Chinese president will first travel to Moscow. There he will meet the Russian president, and after that he will call the Ukrainian president. This would be a first. Xi Jinping has not spoken to Volodymyr Zelensky since the war began last year. With the Russians, though, he's been in regular touch. So if the call with Zelensky happens, it will be significant. China will position itself as a mediator in the war. The question is why? What explains Xi Jinping's urgency? Perhaps the events in West Asia. Remember, he took credit for the truce between Saudi Arabia and Iran. China hosted the final round of peace talks. Even though other intermediaries were involved, China took all the credit. Beijing declared that it was the one that brokered the peace pact. Perhaps they want a repeat in Ukraine, and China stands to gain a lot with this. The idea is to present a new world order, one that is led by China instead of the West. At least that's the ambition. China is already pitching itself as the good guy and painting the West as the driver of the conflict.
Regrettably, efforts to persuade peace and promote talks have been consistently undermined. It seems there's an invisible hand pushing for the protraction and escalation of the conflict, using the Ukrainian crisis to serve certain geopolitical agendas.
达到某种地缘政治意图。
The invisible hand, says the Chinese foreign minister. No prizes for guessing who he's talking about. The United States of America. China is suggesting that it can do a better job. And that's the first reason why it wants to mediate. Reason number two, China wants to seek leverage against the US. Remember, the US has been trying to contain China by slapping sanctions. It has been trying to move the global supply chains away from China. Beijing wants to stop this. It wants to stop the exodus of businesses, and ending the Ukraine war would give China an opening. An opportunity, basically, to stitch new alliances, to reboot ties with Europe, for instance. In fact, reports say when the Chinese president travels to Russia, he may make a few stops in Europe too. It will be quite something. A diplomatic comeback of sorts. After 3 years in a virtual lockdown, the Chinese president will be touring multiple countries. The plans are yet to be finalized, and the United States is watching closely. Washington is sending a message to the Chinese president about this upcoming visit to Moscow. Listen to what's being said. We have been encouraging President Xi, this is the US saying, we have been encouraging President Xi to reach out to President Zelensky because we believe the PRC and President Xi himself should hear directly the Ukrainian perspective and not just the Russian perspective on this. Earlier this year, China pushed a so-called peace plan for Ukraine, and Kiev was not even consulted about it, which is why the West has been skeptical about China's moves. But to say they're the ones encouraging China is a bit much. And the West may not agree to Xi Jinping's peace plan. It's very unlikely to fly. Then why would Xi Jinping still want to get involved in this? Because even an attempt to intervene could bring him good press both at home and outside. You see, China's domestic troubles are mounting, and the Chinese have started blaming the West for it. The government has. This is all an attempt to build a new narrative. Look at Xi Jinping's recent speech. He uses words like containment, encirclement, suppression. All of it is to paint China as a victim and America as the perpetrator. And now this rivalry could play out in the battleground of Ukraine. Let's hope it doesn't make things worse. Meanwhile, in The Hague, the ICC is on a mission. The ICC is the International Criminal Court. The Hague is a city in the Netherlands. The court is opening new cases against Russia. Cases for war crimes in Ukraine. Is this a purely political move? Can this court really hold Russia accountable? Has it done so with any other country in the past? What are its powers? What is the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court? And does Russia have a reason to be worried? We'll tackle these questions one by one. Also, if the ICC has shown such enthusiasm in investigating war crimes committed by countries in the West, like the military invasion of Iraq, crimes committed by the US and the UK, they've bombed the life out of entire countries. What did the ICC do then? We'll discuss all of it, starting with Russia's case. Arrest warrants against Russian individuals will be issued soon. These are individuals suspected of committing war crimes in Ukraine. The ICC wants to put Russia in the dock for two major reasons. Number one, the abduction of Ukrainian children, and number two, the targeting of